That super relatable moment when you bring your actual like official camera setup to BookNet Fest and then get to filming finally, because I got in yesterday. This is the second and last day of BookNet Fest. This is Saturday. I forgot to film all yesterday, which was the day of my 2 panels. But Daddy, I Love Them panel, the dark romance panel, and the art of the review, where I talked about being a reviewer and like what I think makes for a good book review. So I was like, oh, like I have a break in time, like for the second day, I need to like get caught up on my filming. I left my SD card in my hotel room, which is not the hotel that the event is taking place at. And I'm not about to call a lift to go back to that hotel room to get it and then come back to this event. So now I'm filming on my phone, which will also be really, really difficult because I don't know how good I sound right now, and I'm super close up to you. Hello. And also there's a lot of copyrighted music playing in the background that I need to find a way to edit out. So we'll see how well any of this footage does. And also I'm right next to where the pool is, like over here. But if I can find footage from my time yesterday, because my mom was here and she was taking pictures and I don't know if she was taking video. But literally, I have been having so much fun. The only notebook that I had available which did make for a really great moment during the keynote, whenever we were talking about like a year in review and like things that have happened since last BookNet Fest, and I talked about updates about Frady's Moon.
A couple months before last year's BookNet Fest, beloved queer dark paranormal romance author Frady's Moon was exposed not only for their million known aliases, but also for being a white person pretending to be a Latin American mixed indigenous person to write own voice stories. For quite some time, people attempted to call them out on social media, but the Frady's Moon identity had amassed this really large, loyal fandom that they weaponized all the time for no reason. But this Frady's Moon, aka St. Harlow, aka Hunter Llewellyn, aka Hunter Taylor, aka Stacey Anthony, aka Hunter. Which one? AKA Jupiter Wise, aka Brooklyn Ray, aka Taylor Brooke, aka Taylor Barton, had managed to gather this fan base that would go after anyone who had like attempted to acknowledge it in any capacity on social media. Frequently, this was done successfully for a very long time under Frady's Moon, because they had managed to like have this whole story of being a mixed Latin American person who was white presenting, and was like slightly disconnected from their culture as they were a diaspora baby, and that's why the Spanish wasn't always perfect. Yes. They were also an anonymous indie author, and so whenever they were exposed in April of last year, this put a lot of their peers at risk, who were also anonymous, for safety reasons, which was their excuse. This person spent years bullying people with their weaponized fan base, and it actually was revealed that on one occasion, they were in an argument bullying one person as Frady's Moon and comforting that same person as St. Harlow. What a moment in time. So since last year's BookNet Fest, there have been updates, because typically when they get exposed, they abandon that alias, disappear, and come back as someone else. But they are still Frady's Moon for now. I don't know if there's additional. But since last year's BookNet Fest, Frady's Moon has still unfortunately been threatening to release new work. In January of this year, they announced a black and white interracial gothic romance that features subverted master-slave dynamics.
Oh my god.
And recently, on their Substack blog situation, posted the following. Hola! Projects that have required a substantial amount of attention. It's a new world for me. A silver one, if I dare say so, seemingly connecting themselves to the entire controversy surrounding Silver Elite and that anonymous author. And then for anyone who doesn't know, Silver Elite is the recent spicy dystopian that is advertised as Hunger Games but spicy.
Divergence.
Which is quite the choice. The thing is, though, Freddie's Moon is one of those like major impactful names that represents like a larger issue, a recurring issue, white authors that claim identities that aren't their own in order to sell own voice stories because they've convinced themselves that they are marginalized and underrepresented in the grand scheme of things. So those are all the updates I have so far on this person whose neck I refuse to stay off of. On the topic of Silver Elite, my friend Jamila's update.
But I've been taking a lot of really great notes of like all of the book recommendations and all of the really meaningful things that have been said, as well as my schedule, because I cannot keep track of anything to save my life. But I got some really great recommendations for a couple of dark romance things, and then there were a lot of really great things in the panel Reading Under Threat. Lots of really great advice, lots of really great guidance from all the panelists. A couple of book recommendations that came out of The Art of the Review, as well as Reading Between Algorithms. It was like the closer panel for yesterday, and that was like an open panel, so Sam and Marines were hosting that, and then the entire group was open to like raise their hand and respond to the question prompt. And then a couple hours passed where people would break for like dinner or taking a break or whatever, and then game night had started, and I was there from like around 9-ish until nearly midnight when game night ended, and I literally had so much fun. Genuinely, I'm not joking. I got at BookNet Fest at 9:30 in the morning. I left nearly at midnight. The only photo I took from the entire day, from the entire anything, was this from when we played Caution Signs, which is a drawing game. It was such a mess. Now we are on BookNet Fest day 2, and I'm so sad that BookNet Fest only takes up 2 days. My kingdom for just like 1 extra day. But today will be closed out with Prom, and that goes until midnight. First panel that I went to today was More Than One Story, The Diversity of Latina Literature. I got some really great book recommendations, and also a really great quote from Carmen, who was on the panel. I operate a lot out of spite, but it's also a labor of love when talking about her drive, her commitment to pushing for more Latin American representation in publishing and in the book world, and also in her fight against book banning. And then I just got out of the panel that got me genuinely like straight up like 2 pages of just straight book recommendations. Fact Meets Fiction, which is all about nonfiction for fiction lovers. Sorry, I don't know what I've been looking at this entire time. Either I keep looking at myself, but I also know this is the camera, that's me. That panel was genuinely phenomenal, and let me count how many book recommendations I got out of this. 42 book recommendations. And my One Direction notebook is a big notebook. This is a full-length notebook. So the recommendations for Fact Meets Fiction start down here. They take up all the way up here, and then over here onto the other side. I'm taking a break right now. There are a couple panels going, but I really just needed to rest. And then we'll break for lunch. And then I will be going to one of the panels that I've been most excited about, Sinners and the Power of Black Storytelling. And then right after that is the goodbye and the book signings and the book swap. It's a really promising table. I'll insert clip of book table options here. And then after that, there's a 3-hour gap, and then Prom goes from 8 p.m. to midnight. And I'm really excited because it's my first BookNet Fest Prom. Last year was my first BookNet Fest, but I skipped Prom to go to a Taylor Swift jukebox musical adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, because I was like, okay, Prom happens every year. I will be going every year. But this musical will only happen once. So I went to the musical. So now I'm really excited to experience Prom for the first time. And I'm feeling really good. I'm like making a lot of friends, and I'm having a lot of good conversation. Oh my God, it was one of the funniest things. It was on the Dark Romance panel when I was talking about recommendations, and I was like, oh yeah, this isn't really like a dark romance, but I consider it a dark romance. It's a horror novel that has a really great love story. It's called The Har, and like half the room like erupted into like pointing at me and yelling because I completely forgot that I talked about this on the Weird Book panel that I was on last year, where I gave that recommendation, and so many people who were at BookNet Fest this year had read that book because of me last year, and so I was able to be in conversation in the topic of dark romance for that book, and that was so funny. I felt very much so. Very, very influential, as an influencer must be, I guess. I don't really know what I'm gonna eat for lunch. angle is very terrible and I'm sorry. But I am determined to have camera SD card footage of prom and also of a haul of what I got from the book swap. I did put my SD card into my camera and I didn't pull my camera out at all. And I don't know how many rum and cokes I drank. And I'm walking back to my hotel room and I had a great time. I had such a great time. BookNet Fest genuinely, like, I look at all of the videos of all of the other bookish events and all of the other things, like both positive and negative, and just like nothing compares to BookNet Fest. The panels are amazing. All of the, did I already say the people are amazing. I had so much I had so much fun at prom. No guns allowed. And BookNet Fest, I took a clip of it actually. It will be happening again next year, May 15th and 16th of 2026. And I am so excited and happy and excited. What a terrible vlog. Okay.